We're recording. This is Wrong Speed Record Chat number 16, and we have Mr. Jon Richards. How's it going?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Joe.
How you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Obviously, we've literally just said hello to each other, so you know, surviving the lockdown is what I think I'm doing.
Yeah.
Is it Friday? Who cares? Yeah, who cares what day it is?
And you're in New Cross, Lewisham.
That's right. Yeah, New Cross Gate to be precise.
New Cross Gate, which is pretty much where you grew up, right? You grew up in that area. You've lived in that area.
Pretty close by. Yeah, more Woolwich in the borough of Greenwich instead of the Lewisham borough. But yeah, until I was about 16 anyway. So I've been, yeah, this has been home for most of my life, put it that way.
Yeah. So I've been trying to think when we first met, and don't really have an answer, but I'm going to guess around 2000-ish, probably.
The Betsy Trotwood, I reckon, might have been the first time I encountered you and Bob.
Right.
Together, one of those all-day things you did. Did you do more than one of those, or was it just?
Yeah, well, we did one at the Betsy Trotwood, and I think one or two at the Arts Cafe on Commercial.
Oh yeah. Oh, in which case I was at all of those. Yeah, but I think the Betsy was the first one.
Right.
I can remember meeting you lot.
Yeah.
Trying to get our gear. Joeyfat, this is who I was playing with at the time.
Yeah.
Getting the gear down the little windy stairs onto the stage in a very small room.
And my guess is that Matt couldn't stand up in there because I was down.
He's very old.
It was like the ceiling was about here on me.
Yeah.
So we'll have a quick run through your musical history that I have to hand. Okay. And I'm not sure the order of play here. So the first two I have are, you got the Joeyfat album that came out around 2000-ish.
2003.
Okay.
Or maybe even 4.
Oh, okay. All right.
2003.
And I have them very closely tied in with, this is Unhome.
Yeah. 1999.
Oh, so this is first. So this is A Short History of Houses. It's Unhome album. Came out on Unlabel. It's just on CD. And in classic Unlabel style, there's lots of bits and bobs attached to it. But it's a brilliant record and it totally stands up. I saw Unhome once. I was lucky to see them once, actually. And it was at the Bull and Gate. Do you remember that and playing the Bull and Gate?
Yeah, I used to work there, so that was kind of my connection to get us that sort of gig there. You know, like sort of with friends with the lighting engineers who bleached us in white, which I don't know whether other places would like generally get into that. Like anyone we knew anyway in venues. Yeah. So they're always into the smoke machines and all that stuff.
That's what I remember. I remember it. It's a visual memory, actually, more than anything else, was it being this like very white.
Yeah, and we wore like shirts and ties for that. I don't know why we did, it's just for a laugh.
Punk rock, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was better than what we turned up in.
Yeah, so that's Unhome, came out then. Essentially, I've always thought it was a Tunbridge Wells band, but maybe you were in London at the time and had to travel down, did you? Or
yeah, me, Phil, the other guitarist, Phil Avey, he is the reason I knew those guys. Phil used to manage Joeyfat right at the sort of just before they split. The first unlabeled single was the Joeyfat Gin Rummy for Beginners, 7-inch, and then they split up as it came out. So sort of one of those. Yeah. So that's why Phil took me down to Kent, to Tunbridge Wells, to go work on the door, like a battle of the bands thing he was doing. Like he'd taken over a night on a Monday night. It was all these bands from down there, were sort of much younger than the people I knew in London, who were more in their 20s and stuff. This was more teenagers, and really, like, I mean, it was a real eye opener going somewhere else and seeing like somewhere where there was no choice of where you went to like a gig. It was like it's that one there. It was very different to my experiences as a, well, you know, kind of started a bit later, but like 17, 18, started going to gigs and that. And you could go hit in, like, see all sorts of different bar, you know, punk rock bands or just whatever weird stuff, like in New Cross where I live now. Like you could pub crawl it on like a Friday night, you know, and hit the big suit, you know, the venue, the big club, like I was going to say super club. It's definitely not that, but but when that was like, you know, full on like bands that were contemporary and you know, sort of groundbreaking. Lots of people had been there before it was my time, you know, but I saw lots of old shit, but like saw lots of like, you know, really cool stuff. You know, I remember seeing an American band called Tsunami. You must remember those guys. Their last night of their tour, and it was a Sunday night, and there was about 25 people in a massive room, and we were all sort of sat on the stage. You know, like it was really like they were phoning it in to just, you know, go home by the end of that. But lots of strange things. But that was just loads of gigs for me to go to every weekend, you know, just a bus ride away from my house. Yeah. Going down to Kent and just seeing people who had come from, you know, travelled like 20 miles to come to the gig, because it made me see things a lot differently, you know. Yeah. But they had a nice thing going. They had a nice thing going, or they still do have a nice thing going in Tunbridge Wells, right? With the forum. They do, they've, you know, they're the people, the owners are the people behind the Music Venue Trust, who've been trying to defend the rights of music venues, you know, pre the pandemic, you know, just with the sort of things of noise complaints and stuff like that, and all of unfair regulations. They come from that venue. Right, which is, you know, it's gone global, that thing, and it's you know, the Independent Music Week, and it's absolutely, they're serious. No, totally righteous, of course, absolutely. And because the volume restriction thing is not like the venue, like the Free Butt in Brighton closing because someone else moves. Like, I think if you move next to a venue that's already there, you can't complain. Yeah, exactly. You know, you probably move there thinking, oh, sweet, there's a venue right here. And then you have a baby or something like that, and just you'll get a job where your shift's different and you have to sleep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You can't, like I say down here, you can't, we've moved next to pretty near a church, and the church bells will ring out. And like we'll be in the house cursing these damn church bells at like 8 a.m. or whatever. But I'm thinking that church has probably been there 500 years. No matter what I think of it, I can't do nothing about it. They've only just moved in, Joe. So it was Joeyfat, Unhome, and I'm probably missing out things. But I'm going to skip to the. This is the record I'm going to hold up. The Notorious Hi-Fi Killers. Yeah, that's right. What's that, like 2005 or 6? I think we did that. Maybe it's a bit later. Yeah, 2006. Yeah. 6, right? Yeah. We probably recorded that about a year before. Yeah, my guess is, if I'm going to guess and say, I don't need to guess, I can read it. So you recorded it at Dropout in Camberwell. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. When that was a really shanty operation where there was no separate control room for the mixing desk. So Tim was in the room with us with the reel-to-reel machine, headphones that didn't stay on his head, so he had like ear defenders up to pin them on. About 3 leads. good times. That was like what they turned it into. Is sadly it's gone, but was incredible to see over a decade. I think. Yeah. Shame it's gone.
Yeah. So you did. This is on Noise Star, which was run by the band essentially. Correct?
Yeah. Tony and Reese, that was their thing. Yeah.
And
that's how I know them as well, because of them putting on Joeyfat and
Okay. Yeah. And you did. There's one album on Rocket, and I've got another 12-inch as well, like a.
Yeah, we did another album. It was a radio session somewhere in Norwich. I can't remember what the station was called or even how it came about, But yeah, we played like a gig, I think, on a Saturday night. And then the next day we knew we were going to stay late on Sunday and play a session in this, I think it was like above a kebab shop or something. It was like sort of strange vibe. But that was really cool. Like, had a good laugh. What a chance to play a live session. He was quite particular as well about how to do it. So you couldn't stop and, just kind of, okay, we've finished that song. Let's like have a drink or whatever. It's like, you just got to go, like sort of, no breaks. So we edited those out when we finally got recordings. Yeah. Because there were breaks.
So that was Notorious Hi-Fi Killers, and then we ended up being in Colossus together for about, I think you did a 5-year stretch or maybe a 6-year stretch in Colossus. Yeah, and so that went from this album here through to this album here.
I think actually you'll find the cassette came out after the first album you just showed. Yeah, after Radio Static High, there was a cassette, and that was the end.
Oh, of this?
No, the cassette, like a single.
That's it. Yeah, you're right. All the Humans.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, I forgot that. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, but I don't have that anymore. It's like I generally, over the years, I don't really have much of these things you're showing. Like generally, I lend them to people, or like sort of they're suddenly not mine.
We did that cassette, the All the Humans cassette. We did that for a tour of Spain and Portugal.
Ah, right. Yeah.
So, I
remember it had a video. Paul made a video.
That's it. Yeah. So that's like 2016.
Yeah. Brexit time. Brexit vote time. I just got to let my cat out of this door.
Oh yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So and then you did some solo stuff. Kreole Lovecall. You did a solo record.
Right. Yeah.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong, and let's sort of pretend that life is normal. You're teaching guitar, and I know you're still writing songs because I see them online all the time.
Yeah, that's about it. Like, kind of just, the teaching has been smashed to pieces with the pandemic for a while. It looks like, my phone's moving again with people thinking things can start getting back to some sort of house visits again quite soon. So yeah, with any luck like that, or that'll get back. But yeah, I'm just full-time dad, that's like, I'm the stay-at-home at the moment, which is weird, but it's pretty cool. Like,
I've been there, yeah. But we're here to talk about records.
Yes.
So I'm going to get you to pick a record from your favorite record shop.
Okay. I had some in order, but they've all got jumbled up, Joe. So give me just a sec. There's not loads of them. My favorite record shop. This is a real tough one.
Yeah.
Because they're of the time and place, aren't they? And also, my big problem with this is that my favorite record shop, or way to buy records, and generally all things, is charity shops. So do I say Sue Ryder? or do I say British Heart Foundation?
Okay.
Like that's generally my favourite kind of way to shop. But I was thinking about my adolescence and first like really getting into music and where I was buying, you know, stuff from, and and there's a few. So like my mum and I, we grew up in London, and then the recession in the late 80s made us lose our home, so we didn't have anywhere to live for about 2 years, almost 2 years. So we went to we did go to live with my grandmother in the Rhondda Valley in South Wales.
All right, cool.
It's like, you know, there's nothing there, like sort of, there wasn't in like 1991, you know, like, so Cardiff was the nearby place where you could get to, say like nearby, it's like an hour and a half bus ride. So like, you know, in it for the mission kind of thing.
Yeah.
And bought loads of records through that, like formative. There's all that I really was holding me together was like records and learning how to start playing guitar a bit, and just nothing else. No skateboarding, no mates, just nothing. So like pretty weird. Like, but Spillers Records, obviously we know through being lucky enough to go and be able to play there. I can't remember what year that was, but it was cool. I remember that.
Yeah.
But here's one that's quite funny. This is from Killers. Would have been like 91, 92. It's an old record. This is like Hendrix live. I can't remember what club this was at, but this is a famous one because Jim Morrison is really pissed up, and he gets up on the microphone during some live jam and it sort of ruins it.
Of course he does.
It's quite a poorly recorded thing, record. But I was like hunting for. I was an enormous fan of, as well as still am an enormous fan of Jimmy. I love him to bits. So I was at that age just trying to find everything that I could, because I was obsessed with him. Not so much these days, but when I put his records on, it's real sort of blaster.
Was that from Spillers?
Yeah. Sorry, I thought I'd made.
No,
that
you did. I'm confirming for those who weren't paying attention 2 minutes ago.
So I'm trying to remember where a lot of records from that, they would have come from HMV in Cardiff, or maybe, and there was an Our Price. I think they were still around at the time. And Spillers, they were my places, but I was mostly buying cassettes back then, truth be told, because of the extremely long bus journeys I found myself on going to. Yeah, exactly. But then trying to think where else. There was a place in Greenwich. I can't even remember the name of this shop, because it was just I was going to go to the record shop.
The record shop.
And young and stupid, sort of didn't really know quite what they were outside of. Up till that point, I was buying records in WH Smiths and Woolworths, and sort of lots of indie music from just whatever shops, Our Price and HMV, sort of kind of the indie shops. I guess when you're a kid, you don't look for them. You don't know what they're probably quite anonymous places if you don't know what you're looking for until you do.
Exactly. I got.
But Greenwich was an amazing place to go because it had all these sort of I guess they'd be called discount, a discount bookshop, just everything's £2. They're all brand new things, but just the publisher's shut down or the shop or whatever. So there was cassette version shop in Greenwich that was just banging, that I was in all the time in the indoor market. But also around the corner there was one that was more of a traditional indie kind of vinyl shop. Where I bought just all early 90s kind of stuff and things I could catch up on, Catholic Education Teenage Fan Club on vinyl. I bought it though, it was warped, so I had to take it back, and they didn't have any more copies, and lost that. I was real bummed out. But yeah, old My Bloody Valentine stuff that was sort of, again, I was just slightly too young and not living in the right place to catch that at the time. So I was just like getting it a year or two later, you know, some of that. But this one fell out of my shelf today, and this is bought from there. It was like 16, I think maybe 7, just turned 17 when I got this. I'd seen Neil Young on telly on some Canadian show that used to be on very late at night, and he was playing in front of these massive Fender amplifiers, and he had like a giant, you know, like 20 feet high sort of big old boys. And he was playing Cinnamon Girl from this album.
Right.
Everybody knows This Is Nowhere, this is called. And it was like a revelation to find it in a shop, like, because it was something that I'd looked for like probably about a year and a half by that point, but hadn't been able to find it. And that shop, the unnamed or unremembered indie shop of Greenwich,
the record
on the
shop.
corner. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's what it was. Like, that gave it to me. You know, but I haven't had this sort of. I was thinking about favorite record shops. I haven't had any kind of brand loyalty to anything. Like, you know, I've never lived in the same area for long enough. Like, you know, round here. Thinking about it, I mean, there is, you know, there's Rat Records in Peckham that is a fine record shop that I used to be in on Saturday mornings quite a lot. It's very small, very aggressive. Their clientele, you know, you've got to be quite aggro.
Is there's a Rat Records in Camberwell as well, right?
Camberwell, yeah. Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah.
I was there. I spent like a couple of weeks in Camberwell around a year ago. Of course. And so I was going into Rat Records every day, you know, and their stock rotation pretty quick in there. But also, like the stock rotation's quick, but the staff have to be quick. Because each time I was in there, someone was trying to shoplift and run down the road. The staff would bolt out of there and chase them down the high street. Yeah.
And then everyone else starts shoplifting and all empty the place.
So it's still a bit like...
that's a great shop. They have some DJ slot. I remember Letitia Sadia from Stereo Lab was doing a little DJ slot in there one Saturday. Yeah, like that busy sort of Saturday late morning sort of period. She was safely locked away in an office somewhere, doing it away from all the like indie men. You know, that shop is. You know, I'm sounding like I don't like it. It's like I like these places. That's where people meet and share ideas. But I've always been intimidated by it. You know, like sort of as a kid, like. You know, as a skateboarder, would go and slam city skates, and obviously Rough Trade was below it at that time. And it was a pretty like, you don't know shit, mate. Like, you know, which is just not conducive to growth of people's minds.
No, to be honest, I found both of those shops intimidating. I found Slam City intimidating and Rough Trade. I'd go travel all the way up to go to these places, and I'd get there and hover outside for 30 seconds going, I don't know about this. But
you weren't alone, man. That's a common thing I've heard about those shops.
Yeah.
But that's what they've got to be, that because they've got to be that, those shops, to make them desirable to people. Like Studio 54, but for geeks.
Exactly. Red rope out the front. You ain't coming in, mate.
Yeah.
So actually, on that note, while we're on the skateboard thing, I was wondering how much of a influence, because it was for me. I didn't really get massively into skateboard. I did have a skateboard. I was hopeless. but I went out with friends and I didn't really make a big thing of it. But I did have some of the videos, and I found the videos to be very. This is.
Groups of Tomorrow, yeah.
Groups of Tomorrow, and this was a Santa Cruz compilation. So it had like a lot of those like Tom Knox type characters on there.
Yeah, I love Tom Knox.
Yeah. It turns out, actually, as an aside, because Freddie, my youngest, is really, really into all of this world. And there's a Tom Knox now, like a new Tom Knox.
Yeah, I know. I felt old when I got back on skateboarding. Was like, hang on, this bloke's been going and he's got younger.
Yeah, but there's so there's like because Freddie was like, oh, I've got to get some new shoes. I'm going to get some Tom Knox Vans or something. I was like, oh, I know Tom Knox. Yeah, the guy from like. He's like, oh no, this guy's like 20 and.
Yeah. Not 60.
Okay, I'm reversing out the room. I'm done. But anyhow, my point is I wondered if the music of these videos in any way, if you listened to it, paid attention to any of them, or.
Yeah, of course. Like that was what the whole thing was about. I see, like, think about like the art. So right, top trumps of art, right? Bear with me, Joe. You've got visual art, right? And you've got music. What wins?
In what?
You've got visual art and you've got music. Let's play like top trumps. What wins out of those two?
For me?
Yeah.
Music.
Yeah, me too. And I'll tell you why for me. It's because music contains art, visual art, as well, and music and art can obviously contain music, but it's not necessary. But music, you make your artworks, and you've got sound, you've got imagery. Skateboarding beats music because it's got those things and athleticism, right? And like just sort of freakiness and like jumping around and risky behavior.
Yeah.
So I think that like it's the purest art form.
Right, really, because one of the, as you can see, I've got one book there, but I've also got this. It's the Glennie Friedman books that came out.
Yes.
And I loved these books. These probably came out early 90s, so whatever age I am, 20 or whatever. But it's so awesome. It's got like your sort of, there's Jay Adams, kind of looking way better than I'll ever look in my whole entire life. But then it's also
like
got and I'm just being random, so then it's Black Flag. So it could have been anyone. It could have been Public Enemy or whoever. Because Glennie Friedman took pictures of all of those, and for me, it's like the world was colliding when I discovered.
That's what I loved, was the fact that seeing those books. I never owned those books, but they had people of different hues, shall we say, and different. Punk, he recognized that punk wasn't just punk music. That gets a guy from Daddy Daycare, right?
Exactly, yeah. But yes, exactly. So he's taking pictures of everyone from Ice Cube to Beastie Boys to whatever, and it's all punk. It really is. And then I realized that Glennie Friedman had done all the pictures and whatnot for the first Suicidal Tendencies album. It just all. Anyhow, I was just interested in your thoughts and I had these two CDs. I've only got them on CD, but I'm perfectly happy having them just on CD. And it's Tommy Guerrero.
Oh, cool. Well, that's funny because I've got one of his in my pile of records as well.
Okay, well, good. We can get to it then. I just think it's because he's from that. Yeah, there you go. He's from that world, right?
That's right. Yeah, and I think that probably seeing him incorporate the guitar into some of his skate video, like only little flashes of it, you talk about it in interviews, and it's like him and Ray Barbie as well, another younger skateboarder.
Yeah, that's how he's
pushing that in was just amazing. He's the last gig I saw before because of becoming a dad he's the last gig I saw before becoming a dad, and then it was locked down a couple of months later. So that's why I pulled this out, which I got. This is like 2001. So this would have been just as I'm actually moving away from this. This I would have a couple of years later considered backpack music. I know you know. Maybe people don't. Maybe not everybody would know, but backpack is a certain style of. What was it? It's an emo crate digger. It's sort of, if I think back of like what those people, well, you know, I was one myself. It's like, but yeah, something to be, yeah, something that wasn't cool anymore. Put it that way. But I never got rid of it. Yeah, I did foolishly give away such a good album by him, which I had on CD, and I'm pretty sure I've given it to someone over the years. That's the Loose Grooves and Bastard Blues that I played to death, sort of in probably about 1997 to 99. You know, yeah. He's an amazing musician now. He's got better and better. His band is like Santana. It's really long instrumentals, really 60s, 70s sounding. Band mostly made of skateboarders, which is just rad as well. Chuck Treese was on the drums from McRad. So like I reckon he hadn't been over for like 15 years, so I don't, you know, you'd probably be waiting a while to see him again. But I recommend his records wholeheartedly if you like Afrobeat and sort of elongated funk and soundtrack style.
Yeah. And these two are a Mowax. This is 2000 and 2002. So I guess that the record you showed is this era as well. I've in between
as well. Yeah.
But anyhow, I love them, and it's the connection really. I was just interested in the.
Well, this is also, I think this is a Mark Gonzalez artwork as well, by the looks of things.
Okay.
Yeah, with the little characters. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So he's another person involved. So yeah, it's the connection I find quite interesting. That's all.
The skateboarding connection. So that's all punk music on those videos you held up, right? Like, I mean, how would you describe it? I couldn't say for sure with those ones in particular. Like, I was more of the videos I was really liking. I liked all the Santa Cruz ones. So it was only years later, like probably late 90s, where I found out I'd been into Minutemen since I was about 12. But like just didn't, and I didn't know for years that was them, and Fire Hose was them as well. Like, so what was it like? I felt like a gringo. I remember Jeff Kendall. I think that was an artist skating to some other Mike Watt music. But it's just like all that stuff seemed completely remote, like it's just stuff happening in California, that it was almost like, well, there's no way I could ever like see that band or hear that band because they're like, you know, a punk band in California. So it did, but it's more when hip hop and jazz came into into the skate videos. I got more excited by it generally.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I like it. It's the music and the activity together. It was almost anything they put over the top of it made the sound be a lot better. Somehow, and it was just like, I know, just because I was of the age, I was probably 16 or whatever. These were free. These got posted free from America, from Santa Cruz, and maybe it was like you'd be a member of the Strange Notes Club. I had a T-shirt.
You were cool though, Joe. I was a part of the Bones Brigade fan club, which was just like being in the Scouts. You get all this rubbish that looked like it was telling you to join the army.
So we were all cool. There's a picture of me in like one of my very, very first bands, age about 16 or 17, and there's only 4 of us in the band, but 2 of us are wearing Strange Notes T-shirts because they were free, and the videos were brilliant. And there we go. That's all I wanted to say. Is just
love it, mate. Thanks for showing
influential.
Those. I'd like to see those videos actually.
Actually, I to be honest, I set the video up because, like I say, my youngest is into all this now. I set the video up and we put it on, and they're still. It was what it is. sorry to anyone who's bored of this, you can go and do something else. But what it was for me was I loved the fact that they had the sound of the street and the music together. So the music would be playing and it would be whatever, Jello Biafra shouting his head off over something or other. But you'd still hear like the grinding of the whatchamacallits, and I loved all that. I love the sounds.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, if you watch skateboarding and the sound of the real sound is removed and it's just music,
it doesn't work.
It's all wrong. And the same thing, yeah, you add music. That's why I think it is like it beats music on its own, because it incorporates, it brings all of that stuff in. Like the graphic art is there on the boards. There's all this sort of like, it's kind of like ballet in a way. It's kind of like, you know, sort of a dance routine people do. It's really incredible. It's beautiful. Anyway, this is about records, not skateboarding.
It is, yeah. So sorry, everyone can come back now.
And another thing.
Hit me with a record with memories. Please.
Memories.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
I like it, Joe. I mean, they all do, don't they? Surely.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yes. Maybe not all of them, but this one I thought about. It's quite a stock. All my stuff's stock. It's all from the middle of last century, generally. But this, for years, I thought this was the first Black Sabbath album. Paranoid, with the little man on it.
That's Ozzy, right? Is it?
Doesn't look like him. Doesn't look like him.
I always thought it was just Ozzy in some pants.
I don't know who this is. Should look that up. It doesn't look like Ozzy.
Right. Okay.
But I chose this album because the first band I ever joined, it was quite a heavy band, and I wasn't really sort of, you know, I like Led Zeppelin and I like Hendrix and 60s kind of loud bands, but I didn't really like, I don't know whether I wanted to go in the metal kind of area. But I found these vintage cassettes that were from the probably, you know, guessing early 70s, Led Zeppelin 2, which I already had on LP, but always good to have another copy for when you learn how to drive. But also a copy of a cassette of Paranoid, which became really useful in being able to have some sort of, to be able to go to a band and go, oh, I can play like this album, like, you know, it's not all, you know, cocktail, you're probably more like, it would have been, I would have been trying to sound like the last Cocteau Twins album by the time I joined that band, which would have been met with a real thumbs down.
Get out of here, son.
I'm back in 25 years. But just having, that's like, I've never been a metaler. I don't understand it. Like, I mean, or maybe I understand it. I just like, it doesn't resonate in my heart in the way that I see it resonate in other people's hearts. It's other things for me. Not to discredit it at all. Like, because there's loads of metal music that I absolutely love. But it's hard to describe what it is. But this album, just for getting going, playing with a band, and just being able to go, all right, you know, they'd all been going for years, older, and, you know, all knew what they were doing. Like, pretty crazy, like rehearse 3 times a week, you know, like without fail, like so just quite good, or like tight anyway, and just going through those songs from that album with a band who could play them, and just like with an amplifier for the first time, you know, in my life, was pretty cool. And
what was that band called?
That was called Play, who I believe you might have a CD lying around as well.
I do. And I desperately was looking for it before this. I know it, but I definitely do have it. I've got boxes of CDs in the garage.
Ain't we all, mate?
Yeah. But I've definitely got it, so don't worry. It's safe somewhere.
Oh, thanks, man. Oh, thank you, Joe.
I'll post it back to you one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Black Sabbath then. Yeah.
Sabbath, yeah. just as that's again, it's not a thing that I've got other Sabbath albums, really love them, you know, but am I a Black Sabbath fan? Nah, you know, like I just like these songs, and you know, quite hard. Yeah, don't really know.
Not sure. I'm not sure what more else there is. If you like the songs, my guess is you like the band, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think the mythology around some bands is, well, pretty much all bands, when you kind of get a little bit older and just see it for just PR kind of bollocks, isn't it? That you know, you got to say something. So yes, that stuff doesn't really interest me very much. It's not very frightening, you know.
No, well, maybe in 1970 they were. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Whatever.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. But I had one other. Yeah. Hit me with a bargain find. See, you're the charity shop man, so I'm expecting some solid gold here.
Well, so yeah, there is one. I mean, it's pretty ordinary, but it was £1. 60s version of a you know, life. Well, so I got into this album when I was 15, you know, and like I've been. Here's the other. This is like non-stop on my turntable when I was like 8 years old, you know, sort of just the 20 golden greats. But yeah, like finally picked that up in a charity shop for £1. Mono, beautiful, you know, let's but then I wanted to show you this. I probably actually showed you this before. Can you see that? The Passions.
All right.
30,000 feet over China.
Yeah.
Which is this. It's like chart pop. The big song is "I'm in Love with a German Film Star." Just the guitars are just so beautiful and like full of all chorusy, and it's a bit like a sort of German sounding Cocktail Twins without all the whooshing and stuff. But the guitars are just super chiming, and that was just something I just never heard of them. I just thought that artwork's pretty cool.
I'm liking. I love that photo.
The stickers are wicked.
Is it out of an aeroplane? I guess, right? It's really nice.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, maybe it could be a car window actually, but no, that's an airplane. Yeah, beautiful. The Passions, in Love with a German Film Star, should definitely go for it. But yeah, it's charity shops give you that thing of, I don't know what this is, but I'm kind of drawn to it, and it's like £2 or whatever. Like I can give it to somebody if it's doesn't float my boat or whatever. And I
think I might have discussed this before, but I sort of do fear that the charity shop has discovered Discogs, the website, and maybe that world has slightly altered, and that Passions record might now be a £4 record rather than a £2, or Beach Boys is probably a £40 record, even in like Oxfam or whatever. But,
I know. This wasn't that long ago. It's like within the last few years, like post Discogs. But I don't think all shops do it. You know, I've paid like over £20 for a record in a charity shop before, like the second Noi album. In a place that was absolutely full of psych and prog, just gems, but they were all like £40, like really up there. I can't be playing about with that sort of stuff these days.
No, those days are gone, right? Yeah. Okay, I want to get onto Record Bought on Tour, but before we do that, I just want to talk about the area. I went online today and I picked 3 records from your area, or some connection, or a musician who has either lived in or grew up in your neck of the woods, or at least a stone's throw. I could be out a little bit on occasion. First up, we have the drummer from this band.
Oh, well, check it out, Joe. He went to my school, which I only found out like last year. I always thought Boy George went to the same school as me. Ginger Mate Baker went to the same school as me.
And what school was that?
Well, it was called Eaglesfield Comprehensive when I was there. It had some different name, like when he was there. It's a weird sort of kind of prison-y sort of looking place. Strange. Yeah, Frankie Howard went to that school as well. There's loads of like funny names in the Wikipedia.
You think you're a combination of the two, right?
Pretty much, you know me. But it's weird, like Ginger Baker's a Lewisham man, and just looking at him, it makes when finding it out that he's Lewisham, it's like if you saw him working on the market, you'd be like, yeah, of course that bloke works on the market. But he made it to do what he did.
Yeah, I'm not going to discuss him as a person, but him as a musician was pretty strong. He did stuff with like, am I right in thinking he did stuff with Fela Kuti and all that as well, didn't he?
Yeah. Africa 70, yeah.
So totally like fair play and all that. What can I say? Boy did well. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. This is. I'm just going to assume they're from this area just because of the band name, and I think they had a studio down there, and that's like Camberwell now.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm not sure quite about this band. Like lots of friends obviously discuss them a lot, and with this heat, that's something, you know. I see Charles Hayward a few times around here. He plays, well, pre-pandemic was playing pretty regularly. Local events. One about 5 minutes away from my house right now in the church at the top of the hill.
Yeah, and they had their studio, Cold Storage is its name, and I'm pretty sure it's somewhere down your neck of the woods. Like, might be Camberwell. Never really got to know anything about that band. And the final one, you've already shown a record by this fella. He lived for 1 year in 1966 in the borough of Lewisham, and I have a record that looks very unspectacular, but it is really still very excellent. And it was actually my dad's when he was young, and it's Jimi Hendrix.
Oh yeah. I
look
know
at that album cover.
But I did not know that he lived in Lewisham, Joe. So that's
I should have written it down in some like little area beginning with B.
Right. So most people say Kate Bush. Kate Bush is the big one for round here that people love to know that she lived here for a few years. Dire Straits were Deptford. I think they're like Northerners, but they lived in Deptford. There's a blue plaque on their flat.
What is that?
Weird, yeah. But I don't know, because surely it should be in like, I don't know, Newcastle or wherever that, you know.
From. I think they're from Newcastle. But I for one reason or another, I looked it up, and Mark Knopfler, I'm pretty sure, was born in Scotland. But then essentially they're a Newcastle band. But I did not know about.
Why were you looking them up so much?
You are, sorry?
Why were you looking Dire Straits up so much?
Oh, it must have been a quiet day. I'm not ashamed. Do you know what I mean?
No.
So yeah, I just thought that, but that was the one that interested me, and I'm glad we hit a connection there with your school. I think that's kind of cool.
Can I show you this? This is the Montague Arms. Now a pub that no longer exists, but it was a long-running music venue.
Yeah.
With the organist and drummer and compere. They had a series of LPs. So these are all like early 70s, 1972, 73 sort of time. I've got 3 of them. I think there's quite a long series. This is the first one. Pretty horrible. It's just live recordings of a cabaret show. You'll get just some R&B and stuff, but then there's lots of really racist and sexist and homophobic jokes from the compere. I mean, it's that's what Britain was like in the early 70s, you know, by the sounds of things. But because of playing this venue many times myself, I've got a lot of love for these records.
It looks,
even though I just go straight to the tunes that sound like lock grooves and stuff, because it's just an organist and a drummer playing weird hits. Like, so in the 90s, they were playing Oasis songs and like Kylie Minogue and Spice Girls. They just played hits that they liked from all time, organ and drums. And then the drummer would stop and do this kind of solo piece with a broomstick with a boot on the end, and then all these little bottle tops screwed into the thing as like a little jingle, sort of, you know, it's pretty wacky place.
Was it the same band, like the 70s all the way through to the 90s?
Yeah, these two dudes.
Oh, really?
The drummer was blind. This guy couldn't see, and the keyboard player, his gear was just. If you played a gig there, you had to set up around the Hammond organ and Leslie speaker, tubular bells, a gong, you know, all the space of that stage was taken up by their shit, and they played their like Sunday roasts and maybe Friday nights or Thursday nights. Stuff you miss, it's like it's just gone, you know, it's like flats now. Well, it's going to be flats now, and
that's quite recent, right? Quite recent that happened, the Montague?
The venue, it stopped becoming a music venue about 5 years ago. And it became some really soulless sort of, it looked like you're on a cruise ship or something. I saw the photos from inside, and, you know, and they were really rude about, on Twitter, they had, before opening, they were like, now we can finally get rid of the like mosh pit Tuesday night, just people yelling their heads off, and get some jazz funk on the, you know, music with, you know, I love jazz, I love funk music, but like the way they said that, I fucking hate it, you know. It's, and they just couldn't make it work. They closed, and now it's going to be some block of flats, but with the Montague Arms signage as part of the quirky appeal of the the building.
Okay.
So it's weird. It's changing a lot around here. You know, I've lived here a long time. It sort of doesn't really feel like the same sort of, you know. Yeah.
That's a common story.
Now, posh.
Common story in most cities. The centres get pushed out and out and out, and you end up having to be sort of properly on the outskirts to find out all the good shit. So, total bummer.
Yeah, man. So what do you want next, Joe?
Hit me with a record bought on tour.
Oh, I had to bring a few because, and they're all with you, I realised as well. I've been on other tours. Yeah. I bought records on other tours, but my favourites that I can remember finding on tour were all with you. Oh yeah, here we go. Right, so what order first?
And for the record, by the way, I'm waiting for a particular one for you to pull out that you recommended me buy, and I'm pretty sure you bought it on tour, and I'm hoping you mention it so we can play.
Yeah, I'm just looking for that one. We'll go straight to that, because I think it's this one.
That's exactly the one it is.
Nice one. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, this was a last minute addition to my, because I already had two, and then I was like, oh fuck, there was that one as well. Yeah. Finding this. Where were we? What city were we in? We were quite far north in England, if I remember.
I think it's Final Tap, Huddersfield.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. It's all very blurry, isn't it? Those sort of times.
Yeah.
Well, sort of. Yeah.
But yeah, I was hoping. Go on anyway. Sorry. Yeah. Talk
about great. Now, what's your favourite song on it, Joe? Out of interest.
Well, I was listening to it today, and it made me buy. Owning this made me buy this.
Oh, right. Yeah. So, I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah. So, yeah. Big.
For me,
this probably isn't even their best record, but I just saw it and picked it up. So.
For me, it's all about Yelefuzo, the second song on side A. A Band A.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
That's a banger. Amazing video as well. I recommend seeing.
So talk just quickly, just for 30 seconds. Describe what the hell this album's about, because it's quite fascinating.
So it was explained to me as a like people trading SIM cards of music.
Just letting the dog out. Yeah.
Is that a euphemism?
It can be, yeah. Not today.
Yeah, it's so music that with SIM cards to transfer the data, just shuffling about like, you know, sort of like mixtapes.
Yeah.
Trading.
In the Sahara.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I thought, I don't even know if I actually said the title of this album.
And it comes with a really nice description of what the hell's going on in there as well.
Yeah.
And it's on Sahel Sounds, that label.
Yeah, my friend Manjeev Mukha recommended this album a few years before I actually found it in that shop, because it flew out, I think, when it first was pressed.
Yeah.
I think it's had a few represses, but golden, just amazing guitar playing and just all sorts of rhythmic wonder on this music. Yeah. This one, Joe, from the Golden Cabinet.
Oh yeah.
On you sounds
sweet.
Singers and players.
Yeah.
The man who was working on the record stall there as we were perusing it, I remember you bought a 7-inch shaped like a skateboard by a band. What was that band called? Like a hardcore band.
I don't know. I did buy the first Gangrene album from that guy.
Yeah, no, that's right. I thought that was. It was not like a plastic skateboard with wheels. It had like actual, you know, like a proper.
Yeah, that doesn't. I bought the first Gangrene. I'd never seen it, so that's a.
All right.
Surgery, but I'd never seen it in the flesh, and he was selling things for cheap, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. Oh man, like I was looking at this, and he was just like, I think that's you, you know, I think that's what you're looking for. And it exactly was what I was looking for at that time in life.
Yeah.
It's got there's some sort of weird things where the track listing doesn't match up with the what you're hearing, which is a bit confusing.
Yeah, right.
Who do we get? Get some slits appearing on this. Which is very nice. Nice guitar playing.
Yeah, because that's New Age Steppers, wasn't it? It was on You Sound, right?
Yeah.
A slit or two.
Yeah, I mean, there's just an incredible selection of releases on that label over the years. Still Great. Is.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it.
I got one more tour record. Again, this is with you. I can't remember which city in France we were in, or place, but this I had been a fan of for about probably over, by that point about 20 years, and never come across the song Soul Master on vinyl, and yet in a sleepy town in France, there it is in the shop. So I had to buy it. Edwin Starr, you know, who sung War and a lot of
Yeah. I'm going to say it was one of the places we did hit record shops up with Lille. I remember going to a record shop.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. Yeah. We sort of hit them up wherever we could, though.
Yeah, this is a very common theme. Every other chat I'm having, it's like, Colossus stop at record shops, went on tour, and might play gigs.
Yeah.
But you know what lasts longer? Do you know what I mean? The records last longer, don't they?
Well, it was nice going for like a record trip if you got the time after being stuck in a van for a very long time, and to just do something normal. And also sort of you get a bit more enthusiastic about what you're doing if you've just, you know, all been talking about like things that you might buy or what, you know, why you did. Yeah. And, you know, hopefully they make it more sort of a bit more inspiring at the, you know, after lack of sleep and, you know, deep vein thrombosis.
Lovely DVT. Okay, I'm going to ask you one now, and I definitely regret putting this on the list, but I'm sticking with it because I don't care. and it's record that people wouldn't think that you'd dig.
It's really tricky, this one, because obviously, it's hard. I guess I would have to assume that there might be people who don't know me who might watch this, but anyone who does know me probably knows it's like, you know, it's quite a wide sort of thing, you know. I mean, it's just like music generally, it's sort of, I think that's, as I got older, I don't see like the purpose of the tribal sort of aspect of, which is very, I see why young people gravitate towards it, because you haven't had an identity that you've been a child, you're not yet an adult, and then if you get into a certain type of music, it's quite clear in front of you, like the persona that you have. But as a, you know, rapidly middling age man, you know, it's just so far gone, you know, and has been for a very long time, you know. The internet has made that kind of rendered it obsolete, you know, your genre kind of loyalist.
I even think it with young people now, that their music taste is way wider than mine would have been when I was like 15. When I was 15, it was like guitar rock or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and then after a while it started expanding, but that's only because time and money and everything, I just didn't have any of it. But now, yeah, you can, in like a day, you can have a music lesson from Mozart all the way through to Stormzy and everything in between. And
totally. Yeah, it's, I mean, it's great. I mean, it's sped everything up, but I feel that we're just drowning in information and release it. Like, it's impossible to keep up, even with the best intentions in the world, with new music. You know, one morning this is the savior of whatever genre of music, and then less than an hour later, it's pretty much the same headline and the same interview, and the band saying the same thing and looking the same, being pretty much the same. It's kind of weird. Like, I sort of worry about what's going to happen certainly with how the venues are being, well, if they're closing down, aren't they? You know, sort of, if you can make it through this pandemic and still run a business, run like a music venue, like, it's going to take a lot of luck for people, because it's been very hard. And when places open up again and they can only do like 30% capacity or something like that, it's not going to work for people. So I think we'll see further closures that then has the impact of further down the line of where do people play, where do people meet to share ideas, and what happens? Does it purely go online? You know, is it only going to be like this? You know, and you know, do you need to learn how to rehearse like on Zoom and do fisherman songs and that? Yeah,
our internet is going to have to be a lot better. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not going to happen.
Be like Zyreka.
So okay, we're gonna skip over that one then, right?
Over which one?
Record that people wouldn't think you'd dig.
Oh, sorry, man. Well, no, I'll put this in.
Oh,
do you recognise this one?
I love that record.
Yeah. All right. Good. So it's so mad, isn't it? Like
weird.
It's it's got that conceptual sort of covers thing with the ferry across the Mersey that's just like, it's off its tits, this record. And like, considering what they were, like enormous pop bands, you know, just all hype, it's an incredible record, like a mad artistic vision. I think it's dynamite. I think I was looking at this earlier. So this is like, you can buy the T-shirts and they're all super cheap, like, you know, well, compared to, you know, they're probably about 300 quid now, but the little like you know, you just fill out your form and pop it off and
send off for one now. Relax. Send off for a thing.
Shut 31st of July, 1985. It might be someone still there. That guy with the moustache might still be doing it.
Someone's got to be manning the ship. No, I love that record. So yeah. All right.
So that's one that I would have been surprised that you do love. Like, I'm quite surprised we haven't discussed it already.
No, well, I've got a soft spot for like that, like ABC, Human League, Heaven 17. I got all those records. They're all like £1 or £2 charity shop purchases. I got them all because I love them all. I just, over the years, I might not have liked them, or I might have secretly liked them at the time, but probably didn't allow myself to admit it. And then over time, every time I hear it on the radio or anything else, like the sound and production is so amazing that it just blows my mind when I hear it. And I'm like, God damn.
Well, it's that production sound I think about in the late 80s when I first started seriously getting it. Well, it'd been like 1990 really, like buying records regularly with some sort of collection I was trying to kind of get together at the time. That production sound of the 80s was the thing that I wanted to never hear again. So it was like, that's why I was getting really excited by loads of music from the 60s and like, or even like older, you know, old blues recordings as well that just weren't that, you know, a gated snare drum, you know, sound I absolutely love now. But and it's weird, is it nostalgia that's doing it to you, or is it that there's just a appreciation of like what's involved in making those sounds? Like, I don't know. I think it's more than nostalgia, because I'm not really nostalgic for the 80s. It was quite a shit decade, really. Like, if my sort of memories of it and like, you know, what I just general feeling in the 80s wasn't particularly good. You know, like the 90s seemed a little more optimistic, but I don't, you know, for a while.
I think maybe it's just fake nostalgia. I don't know what it is for me.
Yeah,
I was too young. I would have, you know.
That's a common thing these days. That you see it a lot of the people who've got that nostalgia T-shirts for like California, you know, some like California night skyline or whatever, and it's just like, you know, you've never been like, what is it? Sort of just like it.
Yeah.
And that's fine too, to just like things.
Yeah, but yeah, I love those records. So the last thing I have on my list is favorite 10-inch, and as I've said to everyone else, like, it's one of those formats. I don't know why I've put this on this list. I could have picked anything. It's a format that interests me because some people really hate it, and and I'm okay with it, but some people really hate it.
Yeah, I think I don't hate it, but what everyone I imagine will have said is just it's the storage. But it ruins the flow of 12s, it ruins the flow of 7s. It's like you need to have a bunch of them to get a nice flow. But I always liked them as a, you know, I haven't got many. So did Tom show up the 10.5 Newton 10-inch?
I want you to show up the 10.5 Newton if you've got it.
Yeah, I'd have to leave my station for a second, but I can easily do that. I know exactly where it is.
The 10.5 Newton have been brought up 2 or 3 times as being a fairly influential band, especially from...
Let me do it. Bear with me for literally...
Yeah, go for it.
10 seconds.
Yeah. So John ended up joining Colossus after a drunken night at the Windmill. There was an all-dayer at the Windmill, which is in Brixton. And we said to him that night, come and join the band. We're recording an album the next day. And we also said it to Leon as well. So there was the 2 of them. And then the next day was a Saturday. And we started recording and John and Leon hadn't turned up. I think they thought we were joking. So Reese texted them and said, "Where are you? We've started recording a new album," and they turned up. So consequently, they joined on the day we recorded this album, thinking that perhaps we were joking, but we weren't.
Oh man, I can't find it in the dark out there.
I was just telling people about you. I had to talk. I couldn't like go quiet on it.
Yeah. So I feel terrible because I was holding that record earlier, thinking I reckon Tom has spoken about this, so I didn't pick it up.
Yeah, I have a feeling that I'm trying to think. I think it got showed recently when I was talking to someone else, but I can't think who. But 10-5 Newton were quite important band, I thought, from that area, and get absolutely no props whatsoever.
Yeah, it's that is a real shame. I think they had some John Peel play back from the LP. Oh, sorry, the 10-inch we've discussed. I played a couple of shows with them after. Well, I saw Tom talk about this. Jez, the guitar player, kind of stopped playing with them. Yeah. And I did one show in Notting Hill Arts Centre with them. Maybe another down in Hastings. Tom as well. I was with Tom a lot down in Hastings with those guys in a little studio they were running above a.
It's where we recorded. Yeah, we recorded the Stanton album there. And I think Tom and Andy from 10-5 Newton essentially recorded it for us or whatever. Yeah.
Good.
I know
Andy and I still are in touch or in a digital sphere. We try and make little sort of beats and stuff together via Dropbox and stuff. I send him some guitars. He plays drums, plugs it into his racks of sound stuff, and just mixes down. We used to make music like that a lot, just with reel to reels and sort of jam to tape. So we just do it by jamming to Dropbox now, which is
weird,
wacky. But we live in the future now.
Am I right in thinking that you and Andy and Simon Hughes even did some recording?
Yeah. We tried to sort of there was Andy wanted to get a band together and to sort of basically just kind of get a bit wasted and like write to tape sort of, and for like weekends sort of thing. But Simon I think was having to travel out from London. Don't think it was quite up up his street.
Right.
So me and Andy carried on for a year or two to get pretty regularly, most Fridays, sort of disappear down to the garage and sort of make stupid songs sort of. Yeah.
So have you got any other records you want to show or talk about?
Well, the 10-inch, Joe, is the ones I did find. So I thought I'd bring these out. This is the first bands I ever saw before they had the as the prefix. When the lawyers from the jazz label Verve sued this band, and that's why they became the Verve.
Okay.
But also that seemed to correspond with the sort of their style of music, just sort of dipping right off, which was a real shame. They clearly were quite into the 10 inches. I think there was more than I've only got these two. Most of the singles I've got by them are 12 inches. I've got a few 7s as well. Kind of a band that people might think is a bit square because of just how omnipresent they have been in, well, certainly like for a long period, the Bittersweet Symphony kind of, what's that one called? That's the stuff I really, really fell out of love with the band with that stuff. But when they were like a proper psychedelic band, like a really crazy one, they were absolutely magical. And that's the first proper gig I ever attended at the LA2, I think, the old Astoria building. I recommend. I know our friend Reese is a big fan of the Storm in Heaven debut album,
right?
Which is all from that period. Yeah, amazing bands, but just turned into Chris Rea.
Yeah, and I saw someone else say, and to be fair, it might have even been yourself there, that it was like the guitarist was in charge when they were Verve, and then Richard Ashcroft's in charge when they were the Verve. And
well, I think that's exactly what happened. He got his acoustic guitar out, and sort of. I think when it like at that level, there's a different dynamic at play, which obviously you or I or most of our friends don't really take into account. Is like publishing money, I've been reading about bands with multiple songwriters and, people who write like the whole song, like the words, the chords and how it gets that people start battling each other for how many songs they get on their albums and it's all about who's earning the money. So I imagine there was that sort of thing going on as well.
Classy stuff, very classy.
The bucks. Oh yeah, it is. Let's face it, it is a filthy business. Yeah. Filthy business.
Yeah. Have you got any more you want to show for the heck?
Yes, please. I've got one that I would be surprised if you don't have this, but I want to. Do you know this album? Action Swingers.
Yeah, I saw them.
Yeah, right. So did you see them with our friend Tim Cedar playing on the drums?
Well, I have a feeling that I saw them with Bob Burt drumming, because it was with I think it was the Action Swingers and Tim Cedar's other band, the Love Blobs.
Yeah, right.
And maybe PJ Harvey or something. It was like 1990. Whoa. And I have a feeling that it was that sort of deal. Crazy,
man. So I was out one night with Tim in Camberwell and was talking about bands that, I sort of had friends when I was like much younger who had like all this sort of, they were the like hippie sort of bit older, real psych heads, and like out in Catford nearby in Lewisham Borough as well. And this album was one that was lent to me while I was sort of playing guitar in one of their bands. The song is just the absolute monster that I could not stop playing back in 1995 or whenever this was. Yeah. So I was telling Tim about this album with the Action Swingers, and he's like casually saying, "Oh yeah, I play drums on tour with them," which is just there's nobody he hasn't played drums on tour with, it seems.
Because so am I right in thinking that he just drummed for them like in Europe?
Yeah, that's what he told me. Yeah. I mean, I was incredibly shocked, sort of the level. I didn't know about his sort of that Love Blobs era. He's told me since, sort of, and shown me stuff and see photos every now and again. But sort of it was before Ligament, I didn't, and that sort of, meeting, playing music with your friends who, you sort of actually saw play when you didn't know them, sort of thing is pretty incredible. Always, really.
Yeah, and he drummed in Penthouse. Penthouse, a decent band.
Yeah.
But just for the record, for anyone not, he was also the drummer on the Cuckoo album. And I remember the recording session being a lot of fun. Like it was kind of carnage, but I remember it being quite fun. So.
Yeah, I don't really remember much about that. I don't remember it being carnage, though, Joe.
I've got my images, cables everywhere. And
Leon, right. I thought you meant like, sort of slaughters. And
no, not debauchery. No. I'm talking, because it was in Dropout. I'm talking like it just felt like it was a lot of fun to record, I thought. And Leon had his banks of synth set up and everyone was like kind of experimenting. And if I remember right, you had some What was it you played? An oud. What was the instrument you played? I'm saying it quietly because I'm not sure.
Well, the Jason, who had the studio, he had a bunch of Turkish instruments there. I can't remember playing oud on that record though. It's like that's new to me, dude.
Well, unless I'm making it up, I've got no way of knowing.
I
have a feeling that
surprised me. I hung out a lot there, and learned sort play free notes on it in some sort of pattern. I'm sure.
There you go.
But I just can't remember.
But yeah. So yeah, Action Swingers, ripping band. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see them only the one time, or did you?
Yeah. I saw them in Aylesbury.
Oh yeah. So it seems so mad that like bands, because looking at this band now, they don't look cool. But like when I used to look at the cover of this as a 19-year-old, they look real cool. But it's sort of just thinking about like my perception of this band going to Aylesbury, or just anywhere that isn't like a major city in any country, sort of is sort of like, wow, that's kind of weird, but it's of course it's like, how many people are at the gig?
Not many.
I always say 50. PJ Harvey was playing as well.
No, it wasn't full. It was the first album, it was early on and whatever else. I know, mental.
Yeah, man.
That's how. But we, it's like 1990, the 80s, and into the early 90s is the era of the 60-date UK tour.
Oh yeah, 60 days.
Yeah, like you look at if you're ever really really bored, have a look at like a Mega City 4 tour schedule or one of those sort of bands, and it's everywhere from like Land's End to Falmouth, all the way to everywhere up north, like every town.
Crazy.
Yeah. So PJ Harvey playing Aylesbury.
Would you do it like that?
It's how they broke. That's how they got big. It's how they broke.
Yeah. Would you do it like that if you could? Say like there was no commitments that you need, your real life, but like, would you say, okay, I'll do this like 60 dates, like, because I would do 60 dates in a large country. I think that would be good, but 60 dates in this country, nah.
It seems like that would feel like a long 2 months to me. I'll leave it. I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Wow, that's blown my mind. 60 dates.
Yeah. You look them up. It's insane what they were getting up to. But it's how they made a living, and they probably didn't have houses and whatever else,
Well, yeah. But you've got to be. That's why it's a young man's game, or young person's game. I'm sorry.
No, well, exactly.
Use a turn of phrase like that, but it is a young person's game, because there's I couldn't be away from my own pillow for 2 months. It's just not possible. Joe, quickly, just because I know this was controversial in the tour bus once upon a time, and I finally got it on vinyl. My lovely wife Danielle got it for me for Christmas a couple of years ago. Buck Dharma. This album was songs that Blue Oyster Cult deemed too catchy, so they said no, and he just went and made this album by himself. Which, just thinking about Blue Oyster Cult saying is too catchy, it's like Don't Fear the Reaper, it's like Godzilla. Oh no, this is too catchy. What were they thinking? This album is absolutely shocking example of futurism. It's like, it's all genres. Not all genres, it's a lot of genres of rock music played in like a sort of strange Marty McFly sort of universe of time travel. There's this weird song where he has a major organ transplant that actually happened to him, nearly died. There's this whole song where it's basically recreates the hospital room and all the like sounds and the donor heart coming, or the donor organ coming in, and the name of the woman who like died, who gives it to, you know, who allowed him to live, flat out by Buck Dharma. It's one of the most insane records.
Get his face. What is going? He looks so happy.
Well, he would be. He nearly died.
Oh, it's fair. Yeah.
And look at his car.
And okay, and you like the album, is what you're saying, though, right?
Oh my God, yeah. This is It was like when I worked with Paul, our friend in Hey Colossus as well. We worked at the same music distribution company in a warehouse, and we would have, obviously we would listen to a lot of CDs that were generally shipping. We didn't have turntables, but there was these like soft rock sections of like 80s hair metal and just a lot of bad. But we were kind of like, we got into trying to find the good stuff within it, and like, or just things that were really silly and funny, and then this one just sort of, not everyone in the place liked it, but everyone was kind of like, it's not that bad. Like, and then it just really, I bought a copy and it just grew and grew on me. And then, eventually ended up with an original vinyl copy, which is worth nothing to probably everyone who might be viewing this. But I absolutely love it. Oh, very importantly, for fans of Fugazi and their song Arpeggiator, you should listen to Born to Rock, the first song from this album, because it basically is Arpeggiator by Fugazi, but from like about 15 years earlier.
I'm sure they're heavily influenced by Buck Dharma. I'm sure.
I would imagine they would be.
Yeah, well, who isn't? Well, it's been really excellent talking, and it's
thanks, Joe. It's been real nice to see you.
Yeah, and you. It'd be good to meet up in real life one day at some point.
Yeah. Well, I've still got a Parson Sound box set for you, Joe, to pass on to you to say thanks for a little guitar.
I won't accept it for free. I will hand over some money as well.
No.
Let's not talk about this on camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good to sweat. And then what we do is we wave goodbye and I press stop. And we can say goodbye properly once I've pressed stop, okay? But
I see.
But like, we can wave now. So bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Sorry, it was such a trip, everyone.